This meeting is being
This morning, we are pleased to welcome approximately 300 students from various universities across Malaysia and Indonesia, including University Sultan Zainal Abidin Unisa from Malaysia, and from Indonesia we have Universitas Jember, Universitas Jenderal Sudirman, Universitas Satya Negara Indonesia, Universitas Pembangunan Nasional Veteran Yogyakarta, Universitas 11 Maret, and lastly, Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang. Out of this institution, 4 universities will be represented today by our speakers, delivering insightful lecture on themes related to migration, diaspora, and globalization. Before we begin with our program, let me remind you to fill the registration form because it is only open for 15 minutes. Then, at the end of this program, you need to fill back the registration form to make sure that you are participating from the first until the end. Only those who complete both registration form will get the certificate. So I hope that it is clear. To begin our program, we now invite I'm sorry. So to begin our program, we now invite Associate Professor Dr. Suyatno Ladiqi from University Sultan Zainal Abidin Malaysia to deliver the welcome note, share the event objective, and also provide an overview of the logistic for today's session. So Professor Suyatno, the floor is yours.
Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Apa kabar, Husni? Please raise your hand, please, Husni.
Pradita apa belum kerja?
And then, Jenderal Sudirman, please raise hand. Apa kabar? Berifka. Halo, Unsur. Berifka dan student.
Ya.
Halo, Unsur. Oke, nanti pada sebelah. Jember. Apa kabar Jember? Unsur. Jember.
Oh, saya dah tutup mic.
Kau dah tutup mic.
Oh, saya Jember.
Halo, apa kabar? Bisa Jember? Okay, right. And then Universitas Negeri Solo, Surakarta, UNS. Hadir? UNS? Belum ya? Oke, JPN Jogja. Apa kabar JPN Jogja? Please raise your hand. Halo, Satya.
Halo, kabar baik, Mister.
Ada, Satya.
Ada.
Oke, saya panggil lagi Jogja, angkat tangan, please.
Dapat.
Kemudian Unsud. Apa kabar Unsud? Please reply. Angkat tangan.
You're here, Prof.
Unsud.
Halo.
Apa kabar Bu Rifka?
Saya baik, Pak. Terima kasih sudah bertanya. Bapak apa kabar?
Jelas ya? Jelas ya? Oke. Bu Rifka
Ya.
bersama studinya?
Ya, betul, Pak. Kebetulan ada kelas globalisasi juga di sini yang hadir.
Oke. Itu saya nampak juga. Terima kasih Bu Rifka dari Unsud.
Ya,
IR
terima kasih juga,
BMM.
Pak.
Apa kabar? Please raise your hand. BMM. Angkat tangan. BMM Malang. Ada ya? Tolong respon suaranya. Kami dengar Pak.
Kalau Prof cakap.
Halo. Coba suara BMM. Ada nggak? Bisa kita apa? Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam
Good
warahmatullahi
morning, and thank you very much for our fellows, especially come from the USNI, UNSUD, UPN Jogja, UNS, and also UFM. This is the golden moment for our students getting together, conduct lecture, even though we have a long distance, but we can connect using the high technology, especially in the hybrid scheme. Hopefully, this is the momentum for our relationship to increase our academic view. Thank you very much for our deans from USNI, Jember, and also Jenderal Soedirman that support this moment. And then to give our students getting together in the global classroom, especially in our subject strategic studies that discuss about the human migration. Thank you very much for Bapak Fahlesa, Ibu Rifka maupun Ibu Suyani get together giving lectures discuss about the human migrations. Hopefully we can continue our relationship in the future and then sustainable program we have to put together. So hopefully our students in also in UMM, UNS, UPN, and then UNSUD, USNI, getting together, raise hand, getting the hands together, and then we raise our knowledge together also. So thank you very much. And then times I will give to our moderator.
Okay, so thank you, Prof. Suyatno. Then we will move to the lecture. For the lecture, the speaker will be given only a maximum 20 minutes to give the lecture. Now, we begin our first lecture of the day titled Migrants and Hosts, presented by Associate Professor Fahlesa Munabari from Universitas Satya, Negara, Indonesia. Professor Fahlesa, please proceed.
Thank you very much, Puan Moderator, for the opportunity given to me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning to all of the participants, my colleagues, speakers as well at this first global classrooms. Associate Professor Suyatno, I'm very thrilled and delighted today that we finally can make it realize our global classroom initiative. And all right, so I've been given a topic entitled International Migration and Host Countries, but on the flyer I was actually the third speaker, but then Associate Professor Suyatno asked me to be the first speaker considering the nature of my topic. Hopefully it will become the introductory topic given to you, and I'm sure that most of you are students, undergraduate students from the members of Global Classroom Initiative, and I share Professor Suyatno Ladiqi's opinion that we definitely look forward to expanding this Global Classroom Initiative, welcoming other universities in the future. All right, I'm sharing my PowerPoint. Please do not hesitate to stop me when my time exceeds 20 minutes, Puan Moderator. All right. Okay, right. Can you see my slide? All right, that's good. Okay, so basically this is an introductory presentations about the very topic of international migration in host countries. So I believe that other next speakers from Universitas Jenderal Sudirman, from Universitas Jember, and also from Uniza Malaysia by Professor Suyatno Ladiqi will definitely complement and give more insight into what the dynamics of international migrations along with these problems. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. We have to define international migrations, but before that, I'm going to share some of the characteristics of the international migrations. International migrations actually involve the movement of people across borders, across countries, across territories. So, and the nature of this migration can actually be temporary or permanent, depending on individual circumstances. And there are various driven or driving factors that make people move, over countries, across territories. These factors include, but not limited to, economic opportunities, political instability, environmental changes as a result of climate change, political persecution, social networks, and so on and so on. Complex and multifaceted phenomenon. And international migrations actually includes a diverse range of experiences and motivations among migrants. We will see in the next slides that the Geneva Conventions in 1951 that actually regulates many issues about international migrations is actually outdated, and many critics have already criticized that the Geneva Conventions in 1951 is no longer sufficient in coping with updated problems concerning international migrations, and we will see it along the way in these presentations. And also settlement intentions vary. So basically in the Geneva Conventions in 1951, there are only limited reasons for people to move across countries, such as political persecutions and related reasons. But of course, the intentions have become varied, over the last 2, maybe 3 decades. Migrants may seek to settle in a new country either temporarily or permanently based on their needs. And what I mean by needs is very varied, and situations. The nature of these needs and situations are varied. Okay, and these are the types of international migrations. Voluntary migrations, individuals or people may choose to move for better opportunities, for better economic opportunities, political stability, and so on. And the next is involuntary migrations. Individuals are forced to leave due to adverse conditions. But 5 decades ago, maybe after the World War II, people fled their countries because of political persecutions, political instability, and so on, conflict, military conflict, and related issues. But nowadays, climate change and also criminal violence can also be attributed to driving forces of people migrating from a certain country to another countries. Number 3 is temporary migrations. Individuals move for a limited time, often for work or study, for pursuing a master's or PhD degree, or postdoctoral degree, or postdoctoral tenure period, And permanent migrations, individuals move with the intentions of settling indefinitely. More often than not, they previously become temporary migrations as international students, for example, and then they change their mind, seeing that there are more economic opportunities in this particular country, and then they decide to move indefinitely. Okay. And there are push factors and pull factors as causes of international migrations, as you can see on this slide. Push factors: economic hardship, political instability, and violence. These factors together compel individuals or people to leave their home countries in search of safety and better living conditions. And pull factors, better economic opportunities, higher living standards. Yeah, these factors attract migrants to host countries where they anticipate improved quality of life and job prospects. Okay, and there are, of course, consequences of international migrations. Yeah, economic impact. Yeah, migrants feel labor shortages and contribute to economics. Yeah, after the World War II, we can see that European countries prospered. This is something that creating a pattern of advanced countries in which in advanced countries like Western countries in Europe, in Northern America, in Australia, we can see that there is an economic pattern in which their people no longer feel the intensive labor job market. They no longer do jobs that require more physical strength rather than creative thinking. So there is a gap in their job markets that is actually filled by migrants. So this has been happening since the post-World War II period, yeah, particularly in Western countries, in advanced countries, including Japan and South Korea. So this is a dilemma on the eyes of advanced countries in which when they experience increased GDP per capita, and the majority of the people are absorbed to skilled labor market, and then there is definitely a gap that has to be filled by these countries, and these intensive labor job markets are eventually filled by international migrants. Yeah, and migrants often take on jobs that are hard to fill, boosting local economies and supporting various industries. Cultural exchange, migrants enrich cultural diversity and foster innovations. We will see later on in this presentation that some successful examples of Western countries that welcome international migrants and integrate well into their society really benefit from international migrants living or settling in their countries. Yeah. And social dynamics, migrations can also change social structures and, of course, provoke tensions in some situations. Yeah. All right, so the following are legal frameworks governing international migrations. As I said before, there is a very popular 1951 international treaty about refugee conventions, which is called the Geneva Convention 1951, as a very legal basis governing international migrations. Yeah. This treaty actually establishes the rights of refugees and the legal obligations of states to protect them. What this treaty is regulating, basically, this treaty also talks about the principles of non-revolvement. Yeah, it prohibits the forced return of refugees to countries where they face persecutions or serious harm. The problem is that even until now, most countries, most developing countries, including Southeast Asian countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, even Singapore, yeah, have not ratified these Geneva Conventions. Yeah, of course, these principles of non-refoulement is binding. I mean that if a group of people or people are fleeing their country due to political persecutions, of course, they cannot be refoulement. They cannot be forced back to come back to their own countries. But of course, in reality, developing countries, yeah, that are experiencing difficult economic situations and limited resources to receive refugees, and these international migrants also face difficulties in welcoming them. And we can see that in the last 10 years, particularly in the case of Rohingya in Myanmar, yeah, when they are the flow of their boats, yeah, to Southeast Asia, because they usually make Southeast Asian countries like Indonesia, Thailand, and Malaysia as transit countries before they eventually go to Australia. Yeah. more often than not, authorities and officials, border officials in Thailand, as we can see on news media, that they intercepted these boats of refugees from Rohingya people. Yeah, they were intercepted at sea and then driven back to in the middle to the ocean. Of course, this is considered to be violating the Geneva Conventions, but of course, we also have to consider the fact that Southeast Asian countries have not ratified the 1951 Refugee Convention, which means that these countries are not really responsible for welcoming, receiving, and integrating these refugees. All right. And along with the excuse me. Along with the 1951 Geneva Conventions, of course, there are national immigration policies, varying regulations across countries. I'm going to make it quick. I just need to skim through the slides, yeah, because of time constraints. Importance of host countries in migration dynamics, yeah. Host countries are crucial destinations for migrants. They provide better opportunities and safety to individuals seeking a new life. Yeah, and economic role of host countries, they benefit economically from the influx of migrants through labor contributions. Let's not see it only from the perspective of host countries. Yeah, I mean, when there are far right wings or far right politicians who oppose the positive or the welcoming policy of their host countries toward international migrations because of they're being afraid of that job opportunities being available to them will be robbed or will be taken away by these migrants. We have to consider the fact that these international migrants who fill the gap, the labor-intensive job markets, also play a vital role in contributing the economy of their host countries. This is something that we have to also consider. And also cultural exchange in host countries. Migrants bring diverse cultures and will in turn enrich the social fabric of host countries. Social dynamics influenced by migrants. The presence of migrants can lead to new social interactions and community developments. And economic contributions of host countries. Migrants significantly, as I said before, contribute to labor. They fill essential roles that can no longer be filled by the majority of the people of the homeland of their host countries, yeah, because of the economic pattern that I already explained before. And economic activity is stimulated through consumptions. Migrants enhance local economies by purchasing goods, services, and so on. And also economic input from migrants is reflected in the overall growth of the economy. Without these migrants that can fill the intensive labor job markets, the growth of economy of the host countries, particularly in the Western and advanced countries, will be problematic. Okay, and cultural exchange and diversity in host countries. Migration fosters cultural exchange, as stated before, enhances community vibrancy, integration challenges. Yeah, just gonna see. I'm gonna skip this. Yeah, political landscape and policy implications. Migration actually also polarizes public opinion. So, what is worth noting is that here, public perceptions of host countries toward international migration is not something that is static. It is actually changing. The nature is dynamic. So, at a certain point of time, we can see that host countries in the West, even in the United States of America, they used to be people of very welcome towards international refugees, international migrants. But lately, when the economy is down, economic growth is problematic because of the economic threats from China and their commodities are no longer competitive when compared to China's commodities, and it becomes a problem. There is an increased growth of far-right politicians, that oppose the international migrations policy. Okay, and impacts on immigration policies, shifts in public sentiments can lead to changes in laws and regulating governing immigration, influences electoral outcomes. This is a big issue in this has always been a big issue in Western countries. In Australia, when they raise immigrations or migrations issues, these kind of issues are very, very powerful for their electoral benefits. Yeah, but this is not that powerful in developing countries like in Indonesia or maybe in Malaysia. Yeah, but this is certainly a big issue in Western countries, such as in Australia, in New Zealand, and Western European countries as well. Affects treatment of migrants. The political climate can also dictate how migrants are perceived and treated in host countries. Okay, immigration policy and regulation, asylum and refugees policies, also asylum seekers. In addition to economic hardship, some of them are being politically persecuted, and that's why some of them are seeking asylum. Okay, and challenges faced by host countries in managing asylum seekers, resource constraint, these are always the case, yeah. Limited ability to provide adequate support, even these perceptions are changing in Western countries, yeah.
Sorry
Public perception.
interrupt you, Professor Fahlesa.
Yes. Am I?
Sorry, but
Am I
your
coming
station is only 3
Oh,
minutes.
okay, okay. So let's give me 3 minutes. Okay, I'm going to conclude my presentation. So, all right.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you just brief case studies of Western countries in which successful integrations of international migrants and the people of the homeland of their host countries are good examples. In this case, Canada, for example, Canada's immigration policies emphasize multiculturalism. Yeah, this approach fosters a diverse society where various cultures coexist and thrive. And Sweden also is a good example. Sweden emphasizes equality and extensive social welfare systems, aiming to support all citizens, including migrants. Yeah, this approach ensures a smooth integration process for newcomers, for migrants, yeah, for refugees as well, so that they can foster a sense of belonging and community. And these are some policies. You can actually have my PowerPoint files after these presentations. For example, Swedish language courses are provided for free for migrants, yeah, comprehensive introduction programs, guaranteed healthcare access. In Germany as well, Germany is considered one of the most successful countries in the world when it comes to receiving and integrating migrants into their society. We can see that, of course, language and integration courses are provided for free. And also recognition of for foreign qualifications. Some migrants bring with them their qualification. Not all of them are non-skilled, but some of them are skilled laborers, have some sort of valuable skills that can be used in host countries, and these can be actually recognized by German. We can also see case study of Australia. Australia has been doing more or less the same as other countries in Europe. Yeah, multicultural policies that promote integration, community engagement. New Zealand also applies more or less the same policies. Yeah, family reunification. In fact, New Zealand government encourages migrants to bring with them their family members, and also the training of Maori language culture. This is part of the applications of local wisdom, because Maori people or Maori tribes is one of the biggest ethnic groups in New Zealand. Yeah, but of course there are some countries that are actually not really good in welcoming, receiving, and integrating international migrants into their society. Some of those countries are Hungary, yeah, because there is a sentiment, anti-immigrant sentiment, that exacerbates social tensions in Hungary, and also restrictive policies limit access to service for migrants, as well as in Italy. Yeah, nowadays Italy faces significant backlash against migrations. Yeah, and restrictive migration policies are being implemented in Italy. And future directions for host countries must enhance inclusive policies. This involves creating framework that support the integrations of migrants into society, address root causes of migration, This includes issues such as conflict, poverty, and climate change, and also foster international cooperation. I think that's all for my presentation. I look forward to discussing with all the participants. I look forward to some questions from the floor. Thank you, Ibu or Puan Moderator, for the time.
Okay, thank you, Professor Fahlesa. Such an interesting topic about the migrants. So, next, we will continue with the lecture 2 titled Diaspora, Brain and Brain Gain, which will be delivered by Associate Professor Dr. Suyatno Ladiqi, representing University Sultan Zainal Abidin, Malaysia. So, Prof. Suyatno, the screen is yours again.
Okay, thank you very much for Associate Professor Fahlesa Munabari. Really enlightens for our conceptual, especially we talk about the what is migration, especially human migrations. To continue the explanation of Professor Fahlesa, I will try to more focus on the kind of human migrations, especially if we talk about the diaspora, because this is important for our understanding about the diaspora. As long we know how the Indonesia government giving the negative response to what the diaspora, Indonesia diaspora, for example, because I think after President Prabowo getting the success to be a president in Indonesia, but the staff, especially the ministry, response how diaspora using the negative meaning or negative response. So today I would like to explain what is exactly diaspora, especially for Indonesia. Important to understand because actually our government, especially Indonesia government, has not enough knowledge about the diaspora. So this is the reason why I will try to give diaspora for our students, not only in Malaysia, but also in Indonesia, especially in Indonesia. In Malaysia, we realize, but diaspora is very important. But in Indonesia, I think our the governments are still confused about this concept. Next, if we see about the definition of diaspora, diaspora is movement, migration, as also scattering of people away from established and ancestral homeland. This is the globalization phenomena. When the people move, left the homeland, I think so we call diaspora, but we try to make sure what is diaspora exactly. Next. This is the key message of diaspora. First, if we look at the diaspora compared to the kind of the migrations, such as employee or human trafficking and etc. For diaspora, more specific, we understand about the diaspora is more than remittance, not only giving money, but also giving some investment in the other kinds. Secondly, diaspora also has a message. There are significant untapped economic benefits. And then, thirdly, message important government need to do more. This is the ironically in Indonesia, how the Indonesia government giving a negative response about the diaspora, especially Indonesia diaspora in the world. And then mostly, and then giving the religious statement such as kabur aja dulu tak payah balik. Kabur aja dulu tak usah balik. This is not a good response for the government because the key message of diaspora, we need governments need to do more. Next. Then we try to understand next about the phenomenon in the world. Yeah, in the OECD countries, we can see how diaspora in the world. Mexico is a big largest diaspora in the world, more than 20 million. Then compared to China, then India number 2, and China number 4. This is the phenomena that we understand how the diaspora for the advanced countries as good assets for their countries. Migrant stock in the world more than 200 billion. Okay, next. And then we know US has diaspora, the big diaspora, as a home for the diaspora in the world. Yeah? And then US also, as President Trump come from the German, for example. And the German is German especially is the bigger diaspora in the US in 2010 years. Next. And then if we see as India as a second diaspora in the world, and then the government of India also using the diaspora as a good phenomenon that giving the positive impact for India countries. Because India give the specific detail about the diaspora, such as NRI and also PIO. NRI means people who are citizens of India who live abroad. Then PIO, people who have Indian parents, grandparents, or Indian spouse. It means PIO, Indian people has no Indian citizen, but still relation with the homeland in India. I think in Malaysia, mostly India is using the PIO status. Yeah, in Malaysia, more than we can see, more than 2 million is only small largest as an NRI, non-resident India. So mostly Indian people in Malaysia is PIO. So it means there is they use Malaysia citizenship, but still has a relation and connection with the India. Next. And then benefit. What the benefit of if we engage with the diaspora? This is the reason why I urge Indonesian government to realize this phenomenon. Because diaspora has suffered poverty alleviation and philanthropy using the remittance. Every diaspora in the world will give the remittance, giving money to homeland, and etc. And also diaspora is a good international networking because they support trade, technology, and also knowledge transfer. It means diaspora is investment. So potential for return this benefit. This is the reason why government needs diaspora is important phenomenon in the world rather than they reject this phenomenon. Next. And then if we try and look at this remittance, how the developing countries giving money to homelands. So it's been the graphic is always always increase, yeah, year by year always increase. This is the reason record remittance also increase significantly. FDI also increase, and then private debt, and then food equality, and also ODA. This is the reason why diaspora has a big support for their development. Next. And then what the reason from successful diaspora network? First, network brings together people with strong motivation. It means the diaspora give good networking and then make the people more knowledgeable. Then members of diaspora also play important roles such as implementing projects in the home country and also diaspora serving as a bridges and antennae for the development of project in the home country. It means the position of diaspora make a good or make a benefit from its country, such as home country and also the host country. Next, sorry. China, for example, China using diaspora as a foster innovation in the kind of the research collaboration. China give scientific input, technique, and etc. So this is the reason why China very have a big motivation to foster innovation using the diaspora because they can join laboratories, they can join biotechs, and etc. This is the reason why the developing countries such as Indonesia and also Malaysia can use this China phenomenon, how they foster innovation using the diaspora. Next. And then after we understand about the diaspora, we can try to more specific term in the diaspora, and then we can call brain drain and brain gain. So first, what is brain drain? Important for us to understand what is brain drain because brain drain is part of the diaspora kind. This is important because brain drain we cannot ignore, we cannot hate also, but we can understand how this phenomenon happens. Next. Brain drain is happen when more skilled people migrate to other countries to search for better working experience and better life conditions because globalization. So if the people has a high skill, migrate, so it means migrate. Compared to the migrant worker, for example, mostly they have no high skill. So we cannot define or we cannot classify the people if they have no skill. So as a graduate. So graduate means the people has a high skill, migrate to other countries. Next. And then we see the global maps, how problem for the poor country because there are many countries such as Indonesia and also Malaysia has a suffer graduates. There are many people has a high skill and they migrate to the other countries. Indonesia, maybe the example, a real example is me. Me as I have high skill, but migrate to Malaysia. And this is for Indonesia, it is a problem because they can lose the high skill, but the migrate to the other countries. Malaysia also has a bigger problem because there are many high-skilled workers in the world not come back again to Malaysia. So we call brand trade. Next. In Philippines, for example, Philippines also has a good phenomenon about the brand trade because there are many nurses in the US, for example, is a Filipino. The Philippines started to be educated, but they started to migrate to US, not come back to Philippines. Nowadays, Filipino nurses are an important part of American society. If Indian support the Indian as a medical doctor, and Philippines support the nurse. Next. And then, how the positive and negative aspect? If we see graduate, a positive, higher wages. Of course, higher wages. This is the reason why I move, why I migrate to Malaysia, because there is a differences wages. Then important training experience, and then for the Filipino, especially, they bring them an important knowledge. But the for the Philippines, they are still paid less. So Americans do not find a job. Compared to Malaysia, I think I got the I paid. And then the Filipinos also use money to educate people who will in other countries. This is the negative impact for the case of the brain drain in the nurse sectors, in Philippines especially. Next. So this is the Italian brain drain. Italy also has increasing phenomenon in brain drain. About the 30,000 people migrate from Italy every year. This is the serious problem for the Italy. Next. And then, what is a pull factor? As Professor Fahlesa explained, there are pull and also push factors how to motivate people migrate to the other countries. A pull factor for the graduates is better reputation, or better job, and also investment. This is the reason in Italian looking for the good job and also looking for the good education in the other countries. Next. But destination for Italian are more than 11 countries. I think we can skip this example. Next. Next. Okay, we try to, okay, next. Pull and pull factor as a summary for brain drains. If we see the push factors of brain drains is a higher employment rate, and then higher salary, and then perceived increased quality of life. Pull factor, high employment, high enterprise debt rate. This is the phenomenon how affecting pull and push factor brain drain. Next. And then impact, negative reduction of human capital. Of course, if, there are many high-skilled workers like me to migrate to the other countries. This is the suffering of the Indonesia because the reduction of human capital and also limited capacity to innovate, reduced economic growth, demographic shift, and also higher cost of public goods. But positively, still return migration. Yeah? I'm still using the temporary migration going or visit Indonesia. The other side, I also give remittance, ringgit to rupiah. This is investment for incentive investment in education and also improvement of governance. If Indonesia government realize this how it's important branding as give a good impact. Next, branding, I think that is why important because globalization. This is a real phenomenon. A second is an economy. And also explosive growth in information technology because we are using the high technology. As a result, industrial nations have embarked on massive recruitment drive. This is the reason why brain trends become increased. Next. And then I think it's the next. Problem also next. Next. So if we compare what is brain drain and brain gain, so to make detailed understanding about this phenomenon, brain drain is loss suffer by region. Such Indonesia, loss suffer because I migrate to Malaysia. So we call Indonesia as a brain drain. And then brain gain is when a country benefit the consequences of immigration of highly qualified person. Malaysia getting brain gain because Malaysia getting migrant like me as a high skilled worker. This is the difference between brain drain and brain gain. Okay, next. Summary, next. And then we can see what factor of brain drain impact. So we can see better job and etc. Because pull factor I see in Malaysia, for example, there are many better job in opportunities better job, and also higher salaries. This is the main reason, mostly for graduates doing this job, migrate himself or themselves because the job opportunities and also higher salaries motivation, and then etc. Such as better living standard and etc. And push factors, limited job prospect and low wages. This is the main reason why some migrant people, migrant aspect is using this main phenomenon, limited job prospect and also low wages. It is a main motivation, I think. And then lack of career advancement, and also etc. And then there is often 1 to 3 reasons: limited, low wages, and also lack of career is the main reason why some people like me doing the migration toward the other countries. Next. And then next. Impact brain drain, I think, same negative impact for on the country, such as loss of talent, reduced innovation, and brain drain tax on the economy. This is the reason why I really so sad if I read about the statement of our ministry in Indonesia that using the negative statement to see this phenomenon, because actually this is the impact of brain drain and as losses of talent and also reduced innovation. And then brain gain, positive impact such as knowledge transfer for Malaysia, getting the knowledge transfer and then getting the diversity. This is the realize that how is important brain drain for the government. Next. Thank you very much for our lectures. Hopefully, looking for the questions later. Thanks for moderator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Suyatno. So for the students, if you have any question, please prepare them for the Q&A session at the end of the program. So up next is lecture 3 globalization and migration, the future and challenge. This session will be presented by Universitas Jenderal Soedirman, Indonesia. So please welcome Ms. Rifka.
Hi, thank you for the time given to me, and it's a really big opportunity for me. And yeah, can you hear my voice? Because I think there is an unstable connection in my side. So I wish when I give a presentation, there will be no problem about that. So let me try to connect my PPT to all of you so you can see the presentation. All right, I assume you've already seen my PPT. So in my section, I will talk about the globalization and migration future and challenges, and it's actually the extended extended explanation from the previous speakers, Mr. Fahlesa, if not mistaken, which talking about the migration and the labor that has a correlation about that. So let's jump to our discussion. So, how does the globalization contribute to the rise in international migration? So, I think this is the very basic question that we are trying to answer in this session because there are a lot of factors of the globalization that actually can contribute to the rise of international migration. For this session, I just focus on the economic side of the globalization that actually make an impact in international migration. So let's jump to our explanation and my argument. So first, we define the globalization itself. So we can define globalization as the integration process in the world economy through the expansion of economic activities between countries, such as trade, foreign investment, and capital flows. So we can see that here globalization can open up the national boundaries and create fewer and faster cross-border economic flows. And somehow globalization also deregulates the economic policies such as the free trade, remove tariffs, and loosen foreign investment control. So it makes country easily to do activities, economic activities across the nation. So, what is the correlation to the economic integration? Since the globalization opened up the market, so it can be said that the economic can be integrated globally because of that open market itself. So, the main the main goal of this economic integration globally is actually to increasing economic growth by opening market access. So it assumes that it will increase the efficiency of resources allocation and boost national productivity. Whereas in the globalization process, national borders has been open for goods, services, capital, information, as well as the people. So we can say that globalization and free market policy would lead to the rapid growth and higher employment and prosperity among the nation. But unfortunately, in the reality, the economic integration itself creates economic disparities in several economic sectors between developed and developing countries. So, how then does the process of economic integration disparities can create an international labor market which leads to international migration? So, this is actually so there is a structures imbalance between this economic integration, which there are a lot of factors of the structural imbalance of economic integration, but since we are talking about the migration, so I will highlight these 2 points. The first one is for the developed country, they usually gain greater technological and capital advantages, but at the same time, they experience a labor crisis or labor shortage. And this has happened in Western countries as the previous speakers already explained. And then the labor shortage usually come from for the 3D jobs. 3D job can be can be defined as a dirty, dangerous, demeaning. This kind of job is like a care work. And then the manufacturers work, the waiters, the cooks, and the construction workers. And then for the developing country, we usually suppliers of the raw materials and the consumption market, and also we are the search of the cheap labor. Why we are become a search of the cheap labor because in developing country usually lack of the domestic jobs and has the access of the working age population. So it means that in the developing countries they are lack of the labor. Meanwhile, in developing country they are the surplus of the labor itself. So it makes the impact of and the correlation between the economic uh, integration to the international labor market, which means the demand and supply of the labor from the developed country can be fulfilled by the developing country as the region or the group of countries that have a surplus labor in the region or the group of the country. So in the term of international labor market, the supply and demand is no longer limited by nationality. So by this means, a transnational market is formed, and then the labor can move across national borders to find a job in certain sectors. And then from that, we can assume that because people move across the nation, so it means that international migration happened there with the motivation of the economic side, economic side. And this can be means immigration is the complementary instrument for the flexibility of the global labor market. And in the global labor market, there usually need the skilled and unskilled migrants. So that's how the globalization and economic integration and then the international labor market and international migration happen and interconnected one to another. And then this is additional information actually what motivates people to undertake international migration, and this is because economic driven. So their motivations come from the two ways. First, to maximize their income by moving from low wage to high wage economic, and the second one, chances of secure employment. So regardless of the country, whether it's come from the developed or developing country, they will have the motivation to have a better job, better life. So they willing to do an international migration to find a better job. So to conclude the framework itself, we can conclude that the globalization drives cross-border economic integration, where labor mobility plays a vital role in addressing disparities within the global labor market, and consequently, international migration emerged as a structural response to this imbalance. So to make it more understand to this topic, I prepare a study case, which this study case actually come from the Luxembourg, and we can say that the labor shortage and international labor migration in Luxembourg. Why I choose Luxembourg? Because this is a very unique study case for me, because Luxembourg is actually a small country in the Europe, but it has a very massive economic activities, and their main business is actually in banking and financing, but they expand their business technological and digital finance, digital economy, and for the recent years they are focusing on green economy, so they open a lot of green jobs to fulfill the green economy industry. So, but the problem is the Luxembourg do not have enough people to fulfill their industry, to fulfill the work to be a workers in their industry. So the Luxembourg faces structural labor shortage in a variety of sectors for various skill level. For now, it's more like in the industry of ICT, health, like a medical medical doctors and nurses, and engineering, finance, business support, and constructions. So it's the mix between the skilled and unskilled labor or worker. And for the recent years, I think start from 2015, the Luxembourg itself really considered to what is it to attract more people that come from developing country or third world countries to fulfill their informal job and the 3D job itself, because they are finally realized that the 3D jobs or informal jobs are still lacking workers to fulfill, and the workers that come from the EU members states or their domestic workers do not want to fulfill it. So that's why start from 2015, they are trying to attract people come from the third world countries to come to their country to fulfill the informal job and the 3D jobs, like to be a cook, to be a waitress, to be a what is it? To be work in the construction building, and so on and so forth. So because of the Luxembourg has an important issues in labor shortages, so the needs of foreign talents are very crucial for Luxembourg. And then we can see that the ratio of foreign workers for the past 17 years is rise, and in the 2024 the ratio is around 47.4%. The foreigners come to the Luxembourg and work. So it's nearly half of the population. So we can see that how the Luxembourg really depend on international labor migrations. And the data that I've found in 2023, it's only 39.6% the active worker from the Luxembourg, but for the other workers come from the outside of the country, which is 44% from the other EU member states and 0.2% from the third world country or the developing country. So so from this case, we can see that actually globalization has also played a decisive role in the development of economic integration for the Luxembourg labor market. So we can see at the right side, the total job opening in the Luxembourg is actually very unique. They are prefer to attract or prefer to gain to get labor for only high skill person, because there are a lot of prestigious industry that have to be fulfilled only by the expertise or the high skilled people only. So that's why for the case of the Luxembourg, they prefer to attract more the high skilled people rather than the unskilled people. But it's just like a decade recently, they trying to shift that mindset that they actually also needed the unskilled people to come to their country and fill the informal jobs. And then this is like the what is it? The illustration of how the foreign worker of the Luxembourg. We can see that the frontier worker in the Luxembourg is actually came from France, Germany, and Belgium. This is very unique because actually, if we are talking about the international labor market, which leads to the international migration, it's not only the international, but it can be a regional migration that happened in Luxembourg. This is maybe because the regional cross-border workers being prioritized by Luxembourg because they are the same EU member states. So it means that the process of the immigration process that um, is not that bad. It's more like easier and more accessible for the country that came from the same region, which is an EU member state. So this is because they have the common immigration policies under EU. So that's why. The three countries, France, Germany, and Belgium, is the frontier of the Luxembourg workers in this case. And also we can see in the right side, the only 1 in 4 employees has Luxembourg nationality. Means that the 3 employees come from the foreign countries or the international or the regional um, labor or workers. So it means that the issue of labor shortage is really important, and it leads to Luxembourg to attract more people from the other countries to come to their countries and to be a worker. And then we are trying to find the future and the challenges in the regards of international migration and in the correlation of the international labor market itself. So even if this
Sorry.
future and challenges is actually based. Okay, can you give me around maybe 2 or 3 minutes to
2 minutes
explain
left.
about
3
it?
minutes left. Thank you, Miss.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I will make it. Yeah, I will make it faster. So even if this future and future outlook and challenges is based on the case of Luxembourg, it's actually happened in another country. So we can see that this is actually a very general issues or a very general topic that also happen in other country that that depend on international migration labor. So for the future outlook, since there are some of the industries cannot be fulfilled by the EU member states workers, so there are needs to fulfill the skilled migrants from another countries. So it means that there will be an increasing international migrants that happen in Luxembourg. So it become a solution to it become a solution so that the industry in the Luxembourg can be more competitive.
Hello, Miss Rifka. I think we lost connection with the unsur. So we will wait for Miss Rifka to come into Zoom back.
Hi, can you see? I'm so
Hello,
sorry
Miss.
about the problem with my connection. I don't know why it is
It's
happens
okay.
today because it's actually normal. Yeah, I apologize for that. So let me try to continue my explanation.
Conclude.
So the second
Okay.
one of the future outlook is more flexible migrant system to attract international migrants worker because it actually applied for the workers that came from outside EU. So EU usually have a more strict migration system for the people outside the EU. So it is become it become a consideration for the Luxembourg government to make it more flexible. And the third one is the Luxembourg government must prepare for more inclusive social integration policies and public facilities for international migrant workers, because international migrant workers usually do not have the same right with the native um, Luxembourg people. So it sometimes become a challenge uh, to the migrant international migrant workers to stay longer to work in the Luxembourg. So it's actually we can shift to the challenges since I'm talking about the policy itself. So it means that the challenges come from EU migration policy because it's really restricts and because it's really strict. So sometimes the direct recruitment from outside EU can be what is it can what is it can what we call menghalangi in English. I'm so sorry. Suddenly I forgot about the word. So sometimes the EU migration policy menghalangi the recruitment process for the worker outside the EU, which means in the term of visa and work permit process. So the company cannot get the worker faster than they predicted. So, the second challenges came from the barriers in languages, cultural adaptation, and access to the public services. Sometimes the domestic people or the native people cannot accept the differences cultures come from the international migrants worker and vice versa. And for the barriers, sometimes international migrant workers cannot speak French because in Luxembourg, the national language is actually French. They can only speak in English. So sometimes there is a language barrier between the society. And then the third challenges come from the discrimination in recruitment. As we know that migrants come from outside Europe usually need to prepare the documentation longer and many documents that they need to prepare compare with the people come from the Europe. And also the international migrant come from outside Europe need to face several tests before they can get the visa and work permit process. So sometimes it can be a challenge for the company in Luxembourg because sometimes they need to get the worker faster, but the process of the migration process or the policy sometimes make them to help the what is it the worker itself. So I think that's all for my explanation for today's topic, and I will see you again in the question and answer session. So I think that's all from me. Thank you, and I will give back my time to the Miss Moderator.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rifka. Before that, welcome to Papua's participant for joining our lecture today. We now move to our final lecture of the day titled International Flows of Humanity, which will be delivered by Associate Professor Suyani Indriastuti, representing Universitas Jember, Indonesia. Professor Suyani, you may begin.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Moderator. Hello, good afternoon, Malaysia time, and good morning, Indonesia time. I do apologize that I cannot join earlier because I have to attend a meeting with the rector, and yeah, I swapped the time with other participants. Well, thank you so much for the opportunities for me to uh, share my a bit knowledge about this, and hopefully we can discuss further about international flow of humanity. So please let me share the presentation. Okay, yeah. The topics is about international flows of humanity, and actually this is suitable for the earlier presentation because it's a bit general about international flows and humanity or migrant flows, as opposed to Miss Rifka Amalia that talking about many case studies. Yeah, this is a bit general, so hopefully it's still suitable with our discussion. Okay, and before I start the discussion, I would like to give a disclaimer that some pictures, figures, and also data in my presentation is captured and derived from this link. Uh, yeah, so if there is like similar words or picture that's come from these sources. Well, let's directly go to the migration. So, the basic knowledge or the definition of migration is about people move from other place to another, and also it is about a movement of people globally and across international borders. Yeah. Uh, Based on the situation, current situation, we acknowledge there are several types of international human flows, such as international student flows, business travelers, migrant workers, health, tourism, beauty, and others, and also pilgrims. For example, Indonesia conducted Haji now, and also displacement, refugees, asylum seekers, etc. That's a form of migrant flows that happen today. And it can be permanent or temporary migration. It can be voluntary or forced migration due to displacement or other situation that cause people have to move from place to another one. Well, if we look at several cases, such as refugees that happen in Myanmar, and then we can see also what Ukraine and many other asylum seekers. So we can understand that there are so many situations that make people have to move from others. They're forced to move from their own homeland to others. So it's kind of there is a situation that forced them to migrate from their own place to others. This is a different. There are different definition between refugees and also other concept. Yeah, refugees different from asylum seeker, for example. According to what is this? Yeah, sorry. According to United Nations Convention relating to the status of refugees and its 1967 protocol, refugees can be understood as persons who flee their country due to well-founded fear of persecution due to reasons of race, religion, nationality, membership, and others factors. They have to go outside of their countries or nationality, whether it's temporary or permanent resident. Yeah. And then what about asylum seekers? According to UNHCR, asylum seekers are individuals who have sought international protections and whose claims for refugee status have not been determined. So there is a difference between refugees and asylum seekers in this context. Yeah. And let's see the key data of international migration. This is data from international migration reports. We can see that there is an increase. Yeah, there is an increased number of migrants since 1997. Yeah, we can see that in 1970 it's only about 800 at 400 something. Yeah. And then in 2020s, the number is about 5 times. So it's quite a significant increase about the number of international migrants. Yeah. We can see here that there is a gradual increase from year to year. And we can see that there are many factors happen in 1980s due to globalization, transportation, etc., that may support, may facilitate people move from place to others. Yeah. So if we look at the graph, so this is the trend of international migrants. Yeah, there is increasing trends. There is an increasing trend up to now. Yeah, and if it comes to migrants that is organized by sect or groups by sect, we can see here that male migrants is still higher than female. And what about the destination countries and origins of countries? Yeah, we can see here the destination countries, which is the left one, the highest number of migrants come to United States of America, and then Germany and others. And the highest number of migrants is from India and then Mexico. Yeah, that's the comparison that many Indian people actually migrates to other countries, while United States of America is a country that open for many migrants. Okay, based on the types of migrant, I explained before that migrants can be students, can be labor, can be refugees, can be asylum seekers. So we can see that labor migrants here also show an increased number. Yeah, from 2013 up to 2020 second, there is an increase, even though it's not a significant increase, but it's gradually increased the number of migrants workers. What about international students? There also an increase of international students. For example, since we have provide scholarship to study abroad, then many students go to overseas university to undertake their master degree or their doctorate degree. So there is an increased number of students, international students. What about the refugees and asylum seekers? Yeah. We can see that there is a increase from 1951 up to 1987. There is an increase, but then there is a decrease, and there is a sharp increase from 2011 until now. Yeah, there is an increase refugees and asylum seekers in the world, maybe because there are conflicts occurred in several regions. Yeah, that's why there is an increase of refugees and asylum seekers. We also can take a look at what happened in Europe Union, that there is a refugees wave in Europe Union, and there is many problems about that. Yeah. Okay. And what about displacement? Yeah, international uh, uh, displacement or internal displacement. Yeah, there is a variation between time to time. Yeah, displacement mean people have to go to other place because of like natural resources, etc. Yeah, and also at the conflict, for example. Yeah, and then what about other issue? Yeah, kan? What about human trafficking victims? Yeah, we can see here there is a sharp increase in 2016. Yeah, we can discuss this, or maybe students want to take a look more, yeah, research further about this issue. There is a sharp increase from 2013 to 2016, and then decline, and then again, yeah, there is a increase of human trafficking victims. Yeah, and then about missing migrants, there also uh, variation, but the current trend is there is an increase of missing migrants. Yeah, the current issue, like Indonesian migrants worker went to Cambodia and other place that they have to face situation that that is maybe threaten the safety of the migrants. Yeah. Well, that's the trend of the migrants. Yeah. On the one side, the migrant workers may support the development of the countries because they provide remittance from the countries, and also provides economic uh, support from the countries. We can see from this graph that international remittance flow to low and middle incomes due to international migration. We can see here that the remittance is gradually increased from year to year. It means migrant workers who work, they send money to their home country. So we can see here there is an increased remittance of due to the migrants. In a more general fashion, migration can also be forced by economic factors like business negotiation. And we can see here that there is a foreign direct investment. Yeah, the amount of FDI is, even though there is a different grade, I mean, there is a sometimes decline, sometimes increase, but the trend still increase from year to year. And it's also happened in official development assistance, that the amount of official development assistance from year to year also increase. Yeah, it means from the situation we can see that international migration is related to economy. There is a positive side of the increase of FDI or official development assistance, and even a remittance. Yeah. Okay, then let's take a look of the root causes of migration. There are several factors that may cause people have to move from their home country to another. The first is about safety factors. Safety, of course, it is related to human security. It is related to safety, yeah. Because of conflict, because of natural disaster, for example. So people have to move to other country to find a new place that is more safe, and also have a better life from the new place. And then the second one is about economic factors. People have to go to other countries because of economic issue. For example, migrant workers, some of them in their home countries, they don't have any job, they don't have any income, and sometimes they have to go to other countries to find job, even though it's only like informal workers, like become assistants of the family, and even in some situation there are illegal workers. It is because of economic factors that force them to go other countries to find job and income. And then environmental factors, yeah, it's also um, cause of massive displacement. For example, because of climate change, because of natural disasters, that people have to move to other place. Social factors and political factors, of course, it contribute to people to move to other countries, for example, because of tension and conflict in social level, and also due to discrimination of the government. Then some nations have to go to other countries to get safer place. I think that's the root causes of migration, and I do believe that you can dig further about this. You can research further about the root causes of migration. I think that's all from me. Sorry if this is a bit general, and if you have any issue, we have to discuss more. We can have a discussion. Thank you so much. I give time back to Miss Moderator.
Thank you, Prof. Suyani, for the insightful presentation. So we will now open the floor for a Q&A and open discussion session moderated by our student representative and also the panelists. So we welcome your question. Please use the chat or raise your hand if you're attending via Zoom. So Safira Lukmana.
Yes.
Okay. So we will select the question from the each university. So the first university is from the UNISA. So we will and to who you want to.
My question is directed to the Indonesian and Indonesian handle the abuse of migrant workers, especially in Malaysia. Since Malaysia is not the signatory of the ICWM, which is International Convention of Migrant Workers. So, how does the abuse of Indonesian migrant worker in Malaysia that both governments handle, especially on Indonesian perspective? That's all my question.
Dekat siapa?
Professor Suyani.
Okay, so the question is for Professor Suyani.
Okay, Miss Moderator, could you please repeat the question because the voice a bit low?
Moderator baca. Boleh? Kau cakap sini pun.
My question to Professor Suyani is how Malaysian and Indonesia handle abuses case of migrant workers, especially Indonesian migrant workers in Malaysia, since Malaysia is not the signatory of ICMW. So there will be, of course, clash of jurisdiction since the Indonesia is signed the signatory of ICMW and Malaysia doesn't. So how does the both government, especially I want to hear from Indonesian perspective, to handle this issue?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I don't know your name. Sorry. What's your name? Okay, yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, that's excellent questions about, I think about Indonesia and Malaysia, how to handle or to prevent, maybe to prevent workers abuses. Okay, or there is a different standpoint between Indonesia and Malaysia in regard to the UNHCR. Yeah, Indonesia already signed and Malaysia not. I think there is no problem about this. Indonesia and Malaysia have a good communication in many aspects, and it can also relate to how we handle migrant workers. Yeah, from Indonesian side, yeah, actually we can, yeah, have bilateral discussion from the government to government, or from non-state actors, and even involve students. Yeah, I think there is no crucial issue about this. But the question is then how we can handle this, and how we can handle or mitigate the abuses for migrant. First, from Indonesian side, I think since there are so many Indonesian workers work in Malaysia, especially it is like informal workers, and they work in like become helper, waitress, that maybe they live in a domestic area. So the most important here is we understand each other about what we need. I mean, what Malaysia needs about Indonesian workers, the competence of Indonesian workers. Yeah. Once Indonesia know about the requirements, the competence of the market, the Malaysian markets, then we have to prepare what they need, so that it prevents Indonesian workers cannot meet the requirement of the Malaysians. Yeah, and the second one is the Malaysia side also have to like give an open information to Indonesia about what they need, what criteria of Indonesian workers they want to hire. From this communication, we can talk each other and prevent the abuses. And the second one, there is control. There is a control from non-state actors. I do believe that both Malaysia and Indonesia, even though Malaysia haven't signed the UNHCR agreement, but humanity is universal. Protecting people is universal. So I believe that Malaysian people also can control um, can control how Malaysian treats Indonesian workers. And also Indonesian non-state actors, such as we have migrant workers, can also support to supervise how Indonesian migrant workers work in overseas countries. Yeah. And at the G2G, I mean government to government, we have to arrange clear um, agreement about migrant workers, and about the clear mechanism how to protect migrant workers if abuses happen. So if there is a case that have to handle, both countries have already set an agreement and understanding. So I think that there's several layers we have involved. We have to involve many stakeholders, including government, NGOs, and also the society itself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Suyani, for answering the question. Next, we will pick the Safira Lukmana Elanka. Can you please open the camera?
Sorry, I cannot turn on camera due to unstable signal here, Miss.
Check what is it?
Okay. Is it clear? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon to Honorable Professor Indri, Professor Suyatno, and all respected lecturer present. I'm Safira Lukmana, Mr. Students of International Relations, Erlangga University.
Can you please open the camera?
Okay, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I would like to address the pressing issues of organ trade and revisit the active convention in this context. As we know, Southeast Asia, especially Indonesia, is currently facing case of organ trade that have claimed many Indonesian victims. This organ trafficking involves Cambodia, Myanmar, and Indonesia. And in 2023, the joint team from Polda Metro Jaya uncovered a TPPO syndicate selling kidney in Cambodia. That same year, about 122 Indonesian citizens were recorded as having undergone kidney transplantation in Cambodia through the syndicate. This concern grew stronger after the death of an Indonesian migrant worker, Soleh, who was suspected to be a scam victim. Moreover, there are allegations of military junta involvement in protecting illegal companies along the Cambodia-Vietnam border. So my question here is, how about the stance of member states that have ratified the Active Convention or ASEAN Convention Against Trafficking in Person, which was signed in 21st November in Kuala Lumpur, especially Cambodia's commitment to fostering regional cooperation in combating human trafficking, particularly organ trade, that appear inconsistent. It shows clear disparity between its commitment and on-the-ground implementation. Thank you.
So, which speakers would you like to answer that question? Safira?
It's question raised to Professor Indri and Ms. Rivka.
Miss Rifka.
Yes.
So, Miss Rifka, do you hear the question?
Yeah.
Okay. It's very interesting question actually, and it's very new cases that happen in Indonesia also. Since I am not really deepen my analysis about that, so I'm trying my best to answer to that, or maybe the other professor will have their own what is it their answer um to help me to answer this question. So it's actually what is it? It's really complicated situation actually because it's like an underground crime for me because even in Indonesia government cannot touch that kind of crime, and it can be what is it it can be found when these cases viral in social media. So how to what is it? How to handle this um how to handle this problem? It's actually we need to have a bilateral cooperation with the Cambodia, so this kind of crime will not be happen again in the future. And then for the police, we can cooperate hand to hand between the Indonesia and the Cambodia police to hinder this problem happen again in the future. But we know that actually in the Cambodia cases, it included some some of the politician in Indonesia also. So it kind of really complex to make it stop this this issue of the migrant itself. So maybe what can Indonesia do to prevent maybe in the migration process, they can make it really strict. I don't know how they can pass to the immigration session, but I believe that if it's in the sea, they have to the immigration staff need to check the documentation before pass this migrant to go outside the country. So I think that's all that I can answer to this question. Maybe another speaker can or have the other insight toward this issue. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Rifka. Next, we would like to pick the students from from UMM. Firstly, you need to tell which speaker you want to ask your question.
Okay, first of all, am I audible enough?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Sabianti Octavia Ramadhani from University of Muhammadiyah Malang. So thank you so much for the opportunity. So my question is, there are some people who migrate using illegal and dangerous roads. So my question is, why do they choose to go through this dangerous road? And how does border transparency play a role in this phenomenon? Thank you.
To who, yeah? To you. To who?
To Professor Suyani.
Professor Suyani.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. Well, talking about illegal migration, and you say that they may take dangerous roads and maybe they have to encounter any situation that may threaten their safety. Yeah, I do agree with you. And then why they have to do such dangerous situation? And yeah, I think as I said in the presentation that there are so many reasons and factors why people have to migrate for their own homeland to others. Yeah, I do believe that people choose to face any danger situation because of they forced to do, right? I don't think that if it is because of voluntary go to other countries, they will choose a safer route. If they have to go to, if they have to take a dangerous route, and also they have to do illegal, it means they have been forced to do because of economic reasons, because of conflict, for example. Yeah. We can take a look at the case of Rohingya, for example. Yeah, they have to choose to go to other countries because of the situation in their country, forced to do so. Yeah, and we can also see that there are so many illegal migrants go to other countries because of economic reasons. They don't have enough money to apply visa. They don't have apply. They don't have enough resources if they apply from the agency or maybe to the like the right procedure. So because of the situation, they take illegal approach illegal action as long as they can go abroad to get a job, for example. So, in simple answer here, why do people have to encounter dangerous situation to go abroad as illegal migrants? Because of they have been forced to do so, I think. Yeah. That's all my answer. And the situation why they forced to do so, we can explain, depend on the case, yeah, because of the conflict, because of the economic aspect, etc. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Suyani. Next, we will pick a student from the physics unit. Please open the camera and first tell which speaker you want to answer your question. Unej?
Hello. Hello. Okay. Thank you, moderator, for the time. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Pratnya Paramita, currently majoring at International Relations, University of Jember, batch 2022. I like to ask a question that could be also be open for everyone to discuss. The U.S. used to be known as a country that welcomed immigrants, but during Donald Trump's presidency, many strict immigration policies were introduced, making the country less friendly to the immigrants. If other countries that were once open to immigrants also start following this path, do you think global migration will become more difficult in the future? And if that happens, what could be the possible effects on the world, especially for people looking for better jobs, escaping conflict, or trying to build a better life? That's my question. Thank you. The question is for all of the lecturers. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the good questions. Global migration is a fundamental reality we cannot ignore, avoid, because this is the consequences of globalization. So I think in the future, we still have two difficult situations, especially for the developed countries, because we can see how there's inequality in the world as a main reason, as a pull factor from the developing countries that use how the people of developing countries try to make search for the life good conditions is a main reason. And then after that, we can see how the globalization facilitates them. Because globalization using the ICT, ICT, international communication and technology, it's easy for the people moving from the place to the other place. This is the reason why every state in the world, especially the advanced country, cannot avoid. Even though America, such as USA, today, Trump using the restriction policy, I think this is not easy. Nowadays, we can see how the Trumps still confused with the impact of their policy. So, in a short statement in my explanation is, in the future, we can see how the international migrant is a reality, is a necessity. It means ready or not ready for the advanced country still using this phenomenon as the big challenge. For the developing country, as we see, this is the still challenging because the developing country try to mix at home for their people and then try to mix easy and increase their wage, for example, to reduce push factors as a good motivation to migrate to other countries. Thank you very much. For my opinion, I think like that. Thank you.
Yeah, Puan Moderator, if I may give some responses on to the questions. Yeah. Hello, Moderator, can I respond?
Do you want to speak?
Yeah. I just want to a little bit respond to the last questions. I think that is a very good question, yeah, indeed. Well, as I briefly touched upon in my presentations earlier, that the government policy and public perceptions toward international migrants are actually changing. Yeah, it really depends on the economic, social, and political situations in a country to which it is attached. Yeah. For example, in the United States during Donald Trump's, of course, it is something. It is a non-new phenomenon in the global politics because it has been happening over the last 2 decades here. For example, if you remember in Australia, some 15 years ago, when it was led by Tony Abbott, Prime Minister Tony Abbott is from National and Liberal Party. It has, not a positive stance toward international migrants. This kind of issue can be actually exploited for certain political interests, especially for political candidates, yeah, running for a certain office, yeah, for presidents, for prime minister in a variety of Western countries. This also includes some Western European countries in which far-right political parties or far-right movements are on the rise, because when the economy of countries are going down, there is a tendency for them to criticize international migrants. They tend to criticize their government, that they think they have a perception that they job opportunities should belong to them, should belong to people of the homeland, people of the land. In Malaysia, you call it Bumi Putra, right? In Indonesia, we call it Pribumi. So these kind of perceptions actually change, yeah. As exemplified in the United States nowadays, as you can see clearly, the stance of Donald Trump in the political science terms, it is called populism. You know that this populism phenomenon is actually not new. It has been happening over the last decade or 2 decades, yeah, in which Western countries have been losing their economic attractions, yeah, economic competitiveness when compared toward China's economic competitiveness. So this kind of things will be again changing. There is no such thing as a static or permanent perceptions or government policies toward international migrants. I hope that answers your questions.
May I add some information or insight toward this answer? Maybe Miss Moderator, still have a time for a time?
Yes, sure.
Okay, it's really interesting discussion actually to know that if Trump closed the border for the migration to the international migration still access or not. That's how I understand the question. So actually there are a trend, an international migration labor trend in the world right now. It's more like not global north to global south to global north, but nowadays it's more like a global south to global south labor migration. This is because many of the MNCs brands that from the global north come to the global south to build their brands, and these brands it's really need the migrant from the region country. So to fulfill the needs of the labor itself, sometimes this MNC open the recruitment for the worker across the region of which the brands for the brands itself where. So actually it's really interesting that actually international migration will still there because the needs of the labor itself or the needs of the migrants to have a better life cannot be hindered by only the policy of the one country, which is the US. So the international migration will still there, and for the America, it's this policy appears because of the populism itself. They want to make America greater again. So how to make the America greater again is by make their own people to control the country and limited the immigration or the migrant to do part of the country. So that's why this policy appears in the idea of that. So for me, even if the U.S. Limit the international migration, but still in the globalized era or the globalization era, the immigration international immigration will still be there because of each of the migrants have their own motivation to go abroad. It may can be economical motivation or social or political or even the environmental. So that's my answer to this question. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rifka. Okay, so are there any question? Are there any more question? Okay, so
Hello. Hi everyone. I'm actually one of the lecturers in Unisa. One of the courses that I teach. My name is Umi Fatiha, and nice to see everyone. So one of the courses that I teach is about migration law. So this is such a great opportunity to meet such experts with you guys input just now. Okay. So one of the question I want to give was to Ms. Rifka Amalia. Great presentation, Ms. Rifka. I'm really educated and more. I have more information about the Luxembourg. But I also want to ask you your opinion with regards on Luxembourg is one of the European countries, right? And also a signatory member of the ICWF. They have a very, I would say, a very good outlook on the migrants law itself in Luxembourg. But if you can see the percentages of the migrants that they need are all high skilled workers and mostly came from European countries like France, Belgium, and the States in the European continents, right? So my question to you is that where is the need for ASEAN or Asian or African workers, like you said? You mentioned one of the challenges is that there's limitations with regards on and also discrimination against the ASEAN and the Asian and also the African workers. African migrants and ASEAN migrants. So my question is that how do we solve this issue? It seems like they are very homogeneous. That means that they just only want to keep it in the European continents. Meanwhile, most of the migrants came from Asian and also African countries, right? So my question is that your opinion and your expertise in this topic, what would you think will be the best option for us to continue to help the migrants in African or Asian continents?
So, Ms. Rifka?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Well, it's actually complicated if you're talking about the migration policy, because as we know that Luxembourg is part of the EU, so all of the migration policy it has to be in line or it has to be implemented by the EU. So as far as I know, if we are talking about EU, it means that EU will make the policy and then the member countries will implemented it and it it give the it give the government itself a limitation to modify the policy itself because it has to be same with the EU. For the answer to this question is actually it is really hard for the Luxembourg government to solve this issue as long as it is not become the concern of the EU itself because of the migration policy. It's really related to the EU's policy. So by I mean that there is a discrimination of the African and Asian or the third world countries worker. It's more like the documentation or how to get the work permit the work permit from the EU or from the Luxembourg. As far as I know also, in the Luxembourg, actually, they are quite open to the migration because it's already happened 70 years ago. So, in order to them to understand the cultural and the language barrier, it's actually more considerable because they are quite familiar with the immigrant itself. But in the term of the documentation of or the test to become a worker in the Luxembourg, that's how the discrimination appeared. So recently, the worker from the third world country have to prepare the documentation so much many from if you're compared to the EU that came from the that compared with the worker that come from EU. This is because once happened if I'm not mistaken in 2015 there are a lot of cases of illegal third world countries workers. So that's why the EU decided to make the migration policy more strict for the third world nation workers in order to prevent these illegal workers come to the EU itself. So I think that's how the complicated regarding about the migration policy in Luxembourg and also the EU that I can share to someone that asks about this. I hope it answer your question, or maybe you want to discuss it more. I open for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rifka. Are there any question? So I think there are not any other questions. So thank you for all our speakers and participants for such an engaging and thoughtful session today. As we come to the end of the event, we would like to invite everyone to join us for a group photo. So if you're in the Zoom, please turn on your camera, and if you're in the classroom, please stand up.